Good day and welcome back, DoomTubers. Today we're going to talk about some games that I beat recently. Probably going to focus more on one of them because, I don't know, I just beat it. And the other two I beat a little while back, but not too much. So I didn't want to do just like an individual game discussion since all three of these games that I beat were pretty short. So yeah, just kind of some quick tidbits here. Three really fantastic games. Two on-rail shooters and one RPG thing. It's not really an RPG. Well, it is, but I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag. But we'll talk about that one here in a minute. First, I want to talk about the one that I just beat. Probably the best out of all three. I don't know. The two on-rail shooters are kind of tied with one another. I enjoyed both of them a lot. One of them on the original Xbox, which is the first one I'm going to talk about, and then the other one is a 3DS eShop exclusive. The two games are Liberation Maiden by Grasshopper Manufacturer and Level 5, that one's on the 3DS, and then we have Panzer Dragoon Orta for the Xbox. Now let's talk about this game first. I got this game not that long ago in a trade, and I didn't waste much time getting into it actually. I have heard tons and tons about the Panzer Dragoon series. It's a name that's thrown around a lot in the gaming community at large. Most people are, pretty big fans of, that have played it are pretty big fans of it. It's just a really good on-rail shooter series, and then they did, of course, make the ever-popular and expensive RPG, Panzer Dragoon Saga. But I don't have a Saturn, and I don't know when I'm going to be getting a Saturn, or if I'm going to get Saturn, and even though the on-rail shooter games are attainable, price-wise, and they're a little bit more common than the RPG, they're still kind of sought after. So I don't view myself as buying them right away, and I'm definitely not seeking them. I like to play them because especially after playing this one, it is it is probably every bit as fantastic as everyone says. That said, this game, it was a lot of fun. I had a great time with it. I beat it in just shy of 4 hours. Looks like 3 hours and 44 minutes. Beat it on easy. I had to replay a lot of stages because, quite frankly, it's tough. It is tough, even on easy, especially for a noob like me. There are a lot of things that I don't like. And when I say that, I mean there's really only probably a couple of things, but it bothered me the entire game. The left and the right triggers change your view angle, change your camera angle, because you can do a complete 360 and look, every which direction. You are a person riding on the back of this dragon, and you can shoot in any direction. Lots of enemies coming at you most of the time, and then there's, of course, at the end of the stage, there's, big bosses that you have to fight, and there are a couple of stages where I really wondered if I was going to get past it, because there's very few power-ups. There's no, health power-ups or anything like that, so if you die in the middle of the stage, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. The only time that you get a saving grace is if you're at the boss. Then it'll just make you go back to the beginning of the boss fight. It won't make you go back all the way to the beginning of the level. But there's been times, or there was times where I was just damn near the boss, and I had to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. But I mean, it's like anything else. There's patterns. You get used to where to shoot, where to dodge to. It's a little bit tougher because it is an on-rail shooter. You can't completely dodge everything all the time. You just got to figure out what works best for you. And there's 3 different wing styles. And I wasn't really sure how that worked altogether. I wasn't paying that close of attention in the early parts of the game. Actually, I started playing this. I was pretty tired, and I wanted to play it, but I also didn't want to pay attention that well. So let's see if I can look in the manual here and see what it's called. Okay, we've got the base wing, heavy wing, and the glide wing. Base wing moves pretty well and has the lock-on type of laser, and the heavy wing also has the lock-on laser where you just hold down the fire button and then let go after you've locked onto your targets. The heavy wing has a heavier attack, but you move considerably slower, and you can't use your boost to speed up or slow down. So you really have to be picky and choosy when you use that one. Luckily, just a press of the Y button to flip between them, pretty easily. There's no delay. And then there's the glide wing, which you move very well, and but your attack is not a charge attack. It's just a rapid fire, smaller attack, and it's kind of useful because it does lock on too. Like you can just hold down the button and it just kind of will like lock on and kind of home to where you're trying to shoot, which is useful in a couple of fights, namely boss battles. But also, like, you could sit there and just tap it. Like if there was a lot of missiles coming at you all at once, you could just sit there and tap it, and it would just, each shot would go a different direction depending on where you needed it to go, which was kind of cool. I don't know if all that stuff works quite the same on the higher difficulties. I don't know. I know that in some games, easy things that make it easier tend to go away in higher difficulties. So that the looking thing, because a lot of enemies would like fly around you, so you'd have to use the triggers to change direction, which way you were looking, which way you were shooting. And what made it even more complex was sometimes they would be behind you but also above you, so you wouldn't see them right away. You had to turn and then look up. So it was just, there's a lot of times where I couldn't find which direction I was getting shot from. I could see them on the radar. I could see where they were, in context to where I was looking, but I couldn't find them. So there was some frustration, but luckily it didn't take it away from the game, and it didn't make me want to stop playing. So that's a good thing. The last boss, oh man, I played the last boss battle probably 10 times. But it's fun. Like, I didn't mind. I mean, I was getting frustrated because but once again, it's a pattern. You kind of got to know when to use which weapon and that sort of thing. I won't lie, I did look up a FAQ just to figure out kind of, which weapon I needed to be using, because what I was doing was not working on the last boss. But once I figured out, exactly what I needed to do, still took me 5 or 6 times, but at least I knew that I could do it. I was making progress. I knew that I was able to do it. The last boss has like 3 or 4 different forms that you have to fight. I think it's just 3. Yeah, 3 different forms that you have to fight, and you have to survive the whole time. There's no power-ups. There is a little bit of a leveling system, and I think it just does it automatically. I wasn't really sure how it worked, and when you press pause in the game, you could see, that each wing type, base, heavy, or glide, had a level beside them, like 1, 2, or 3. I think 3 was the highest, and I'm not sure even what levels I was at. I wasn't sure how it worked, and yeah, I really wasn't paying that close of attention. And to be quite honest, I wasn't paying any attention to the story really either. There is a story here, and it's probably a pretty good story. The downside to it is that it's in Japanese. You have to read the subtitles, which is fine. Some people enjoy that. Some people like to listen to their game there's a moth in here. Some people like to listen to the game in Japanese and read the subtitles. I, for one, don't like that. I would rather it been in English and Japanese subtitles. I wouldn't have cared because I don't like to read the subtitles if there's also voiceover. I mean, if I have to read, then I have to read. That's fine. But I don't know. This just wasn't the type of game that I wanted to read. It's a shooter, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to shoot. But I'm sure that the story is fantastic. And that said, I'm sure that I'll play it again. It's a good enough game that I will probably play it again. Another cool thing that I just found out today, actually, if you beat the game on any difficulty, or you have logged at least 5 hours of gameplay on your flight time, it keeps track of how long you've actually played the game. If you do one of those two things, you actually unlock the original Panzer Dragoon game on this disc, which is awesome. So now I can actually experience Panzer Dragoon, the first one, on this disc, which is pretty awesome. It doesn't have the second one. I think there's 3. Is there 3? Somebody fill me in. I don't know how many Panzer Dragoon games there are, excluding the RPG one. So 2 for 1, and I didn't even know it till today, which is pretty awesome. I don't know when I'll get to that. At some point, probably. I played it for a little bit, of course, after I finished up this one. But I didn't, just a couple of minutes just to stick my toes in the water and see what it was like. Okay. I'll go ahead and talk about Liberation Maiden now. Liberation Maiden, this game actually, the story behind it probably could have been more intriguing, more interesting. I think that it was pretty dry. Like, they didn't spend a lot of time on the story. But I like the animation. I like the animated cutscene in the beginning of the game. And it's a really short game. I forget how much time actually I put into this. I can actually call it up on the screen here. I put in about 2 hours and 50 minutes, and that's actually quite a long time. And that's time I actually, not in-game clear time. That's just actually what my the log on the 3DS, the game log on my 3DS tells me is 2 hours and 51 minutes is how much time I actually played the game. That's including all the times I had to restart the mission. It shouldn't have been as complex as it was for me. I didn't quite get the controls until of course, the last time that I beat the second stage. I probably played the second stage probably 10 times because I couldn't quite grasp what I was supposed to be doing. And the problem was, too, that I played the first stage, I got to the second stage, and then I put the game down for a really long time. And when I say really long time, it's probably only a month or a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. So I'd kind of forgotten, some of what I was supposed to do. So I kept dying. It's once again an on-rail shooter, but you've got a little bit more freedom with this one. You can actually fly anywhere on the map. It's got boundaries, so it's more like a Star Fox style on-rail shooter. It's got basically like a dome, and you can fly anywhere inside of there and shoot things, but you can't go outside of it. And I think that this game is really great because, and I like this style. You hold the 3DS with one hand, using your thumb on the D-pad or the circle pad, whichever you want to use, and then you use the stylus to aim your weapon and to fire, which I thought is really nice. I actually really like that. I think Metroid Prime Hunters is like that too. I don't have that game, but I think that's kind of how that's played too. You play with one hand on the system, and then one using the stylus, which is pretty cool. You don't see too many games, especially current games like 3DS games that really rely on the the stylus to do anything in the game. At least I haven't, but I'm very ignorant of a lot of 3DS games. But so I really like that. You play as, I forget her name, Shoko something. She's the president of New Japan. It's a futuristic type of game, and I don't know exactly who you're fighting. The Resistance or something, or Old Japan or something. I really don't know. Once again, the story takes place mostly in that first, couple minutes when you boot up the game. It plays through a cutscene and whatnot, and I played that a while back and kind of spaced it off. And then the rest of the time you play the game, you catch little tidbits. There is lots of voice acting and things like that. Some conversations, but for the most part, you're just going and shooting, which is all right with me. Yeah, check out some gameplay if you're interested in kind of the look of things. I really like the graphics. It's like a cel shaded kind of graphics. It's a lot of fun. My one complaint, if I had to make a complaint, other than me forgetting how to play it, is it's really short, and it's kind of a cliffhanger ending. It's like I didn't quite understand why they felt the need to end it cut like that. I won't say anything because it's kind of a spoiler, but I don't know. It's such a short game, but I can't complain. It was only like $5 or something like that on the eShop, so I shouldn't complain about that being short, because for the 3 hours that I played it, it's really fun. It's a substantial game, but it's very short. So anyway, those are two on-rail shooters. I liked them both an awful lot. Obviously, I like the control of Liberation Maiden a lot more, but I like the length and the meatiness and the replayability of Panzer Dragoon Orta. So there's those two. And then, of course, the third game that I beat is an indie game, actually, available on Steam. I don't even know if there's any other way you can get it. I don't know if there's no physical release. I doubt it. But I don't know if there's any other outlets that you could download it from. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But it's called Evoland. 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 Independent game. And you play as this character who is your typical RPG character. You start out the game and all you can see is like one line of graphics with like 4 or 5 squares, and you're this character and you can only go one direction. You can only go to the right. And you see a treasure chest, and you open it, and then it says, oh look, you can go left now. You've got the left key. So open up the left key on the keyboard so that you can go left. And then you open that and it's like, oh, you got the up key. And then it like opens up the map a little bit. So basically what you do in this game is your character goes across this land, opening up areas as you go, and it showcases the evolution of the RPG. So in these treasure chests, or not necessarily treasure, sometimes you find these stars, but I haven't figured out what the stars do. You open up features, or you open up, it'll give you a weapon, or you open it up and it gives you music, and it's kind of a cool little concept. You open up another treasure chest and you open up save points and stuff like that. So you start off the game. Once you get going, you get some stuff to look at, and some stuff to fight. You get a sword, and it plays about like The Legend of Zelda, which is clearly, and I think they even say thanks in the credits to The Legend of Zelda. Because that's the way it plays. It's your top down, not quite completely top down, but kind of. You go left, right, up, down, fighting. Sticking your sword out and fighting little octopus-looking things. And then you open up other areas and you go into dungeons and things like that. And eventually you unlock a chest that gives you the little hearts, because otherwise, it's one hit and you're dead, and you have to start over from your last save point. And if you haven't unlocked save points yet, you got to start the game over. But that's all in about 2 minutes or less of the opening part of the game, so it's really not that big of a deal. But it's a lot of fun. It's cool to see the graphics change, the graphics improve, and by the end of the game, it's in HD and it looks really great. And it's still like an isometric top-down look, but it's still, it's got 3D, stuff, trees and stuff, and HD land, grass and stuff. It looks really good. And another play style is once you actually get to like an overworld kind of a view. It plays about like Final Fantasy. You can see the landscape on the screen, and then you walk, and then you get random encounters, and the turn-based, there's active turn-based or active time or whatever. It's got the little bar that's got to fill up before you can attack, but it's still pretty much turn-based. And you can gain levels at some point. At some point it'll unlock, and you can actually gain levels, get stronger, and you get another person to join your party, and she has magic and stuff like that. And it's really an interesting concept. I'm really bad at explaining it, but it is really fun. And then the third play style is actually like a dungeon crawler, like a Diablo type dungeon crawler. Lots of loot and and items that you equip and stuff like that. And the boss in that section is a pain unless you know the trick. And it's pretty easy to figure out the trick, but I died several times before I did find out that trick. But then the final boss could be tricky too, but it's just repetition, doing it over and over again until you get exactly in what you need to do to beat him. So yeah, it's a short, cheap. Well, I don't know if it's cheap. I bought it pretty cheap on the summer Steam sale, but I think normally it's actually like $20. So that said, very, very fun concept and a pretty fun game, but not worth $20. If you just really want to support these people, that's fine. I think it's Shiro Games, Shiro. Not sure. So if you want to throw some money at them, because it's a cool concept and a cool game, sure, why not? I threw money at them, but it was like $5. It's worth $5. I would pay $5 again if I didn't have this game already. I would pay $5 for it because it is fun. I might even pay $10 for it just because it's a cool concept. That said, I don't think I would play it again, which is kind of sad. To buy games and actually kind of anticipate playing them, because I actually did kind of anticipate playing it. Was kind of excited to play it, and then I beat it, and it was satisfying to beat it, but not even as satisfying as the other two games that I beat. So of those three, that's definitely my least favorite of the three that I just beat. But I won't say it's my least favorite game that I've ever played. But yeah, I've talked long enough. It's almost 24 minutes onto this video. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I'm still playing Diablo 3. I'm still putting a lot of time into that. I'm actually on Act 3 right now. Again, a nightmare mode, and Inferno is coming up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Doomwaves out.